So let us start with today's session and continue with Nash Therapeutics study streak. There is an important remedy in Nash Therapeutics which comes after ferrum metallicum, which Dr. Nash has just given in 2 pages, but the data in both these pages is invaluable. And if you understand this remedy from the couple of cases, 2 cases which Dr. Nash has given, and the PQRS symptoms that he has shared, then your way of practice is certainly going to change. The problem with homeopaths is that they don't want to focus on PQRS symptoms or peculiar symptoms which the patient is telling, but they want to focus on new methods. They want to focus on new remedies. They want to focus on new technology. But what our stalwarts have given time and again is certainly invaluable and should be read by the homeopaths day in and day out, again and again and again. So, the remedy in discussion for today is plumbum metallicum. And if you see plumbum metallicum, the very first line written by Dr. Nash is that he mentions a characteristic symptom of the remedy. So you will now understand, and if you analyze how Dr. Nash has shared every remedy in its essence before the remedy begins or in the beginning part, first few sentences, how he has shared, and in the end, how he concludes the remedy. This itself shows the ability of Dr. Nash to understand and grasp the basic books that were available at that time. Whether it was keynotes, it was chronic diseases or encyclopedia of Ellen or whatever. And for plumbum, Dr. Nash writes that there is one characteristic symptom, and that is abdomen retracted to the spine as if drawn by a string. There is actual retraction and sensation of retraction in the abdomen, which plumbum will mostly have. And if you understand this, then your job to prescribe plumbum becomes easier in practice. So let's go over and try to understand what Dr. Nash tells about the remedy plumbum metallicum. The first thing he mentions is the abdomen retracted and actual sensation of retraction inside, which is felt by the patient and also subjectively, objectively also seen by the homeopath. The other symptom what Dr. Nash shares about plumbum is that there is pain in abdomen which radiates to different parts. And the other remedy he gives for comparison for all the homeopaths is dioscoria. So whenever we read a symptom, we should automatically get in our minds which is the other remedy for this symptom. And if you can say a few names, it definitely indicates that your materia medica knowledge is strong, your repertory knowledge is strong. If you cannot say a single name, even after knowing one or two or three materia medicas, then either you need to upgrade your materia knowledge or else that symptom is belonging to only that remedy and it's very characteristic. So for plumbum mat, pain in abdomen radiating to various parts of the body is found in uterine troubles and also gastric troubles. For uterine troubles it can be menorrhagia, gastric troubles like simple as constipation. And for plumbum mat, Dr. Gunsi was one of the stalwarts of homeopathic field. He gives a very good description that this remedy has been used in all the cases of jaundice, whether it is clinically or found in the functional levels in the urine or eyes, icterus, or skin or stool. And Dr. Nash verifies this remedy for jaundice and gives it with success in all such cases of jaundice, the remedy plumbum metallicum. And next, Dr. Nash gives us that this remedy plumbum met has the power to produce paralysis. And that's why lead colic is, kind of an induced process rather than, something that is coming over a period of time. Going further, Dr. Nash gives us a case of diphtheritic paralysis. So back then in 1900s, when Dr. Nash used to practice, diphtheria was a widespread disease. And he saw a case of a middle-aged man. Lower limbs were entirely paralyzed, and there was one peculiar symptom he saw, which was severe hyperesthesia of the skin. Now he gives a words severe and hyperesthesia. Hyperesthesia in itself is a word which indicates that there is hypersensitivity of the skin. But he gives us an additional word which is severe. Severe hyperesthesia of the skin, which means that the patient's skin was super sensitive, just like how we have in our clinics patients coming and telling us the least cold of air gave me a bout of cough or cold. Similarly, for plumbum, Dr. Nash tells us that there was diphtheritic paralysis in this patient, middle-aged man. Lower limbs were almost entirely paralyzed, and what he found on examining that there was severe hyperesthesia of the skin. The patient could not bear to be touched anywhere. This is the reason why you need to clinically examine and find what is the sensitivity of the patient at the level of touch. For this particular patient, Dr. Nash gave paralysis, took two things, paralysis and hyperesthesia, and gave plumbum metallicum 40 m potency, one dose and no repetition. And the result was miraculous. Similarly, he gives the second case just after this first case of Dr. T.L. Brown, whom he quotes very often in the entire book. Case of Dr. T.L. Brown's father-in-law, whose age is 70 years. There is severe pain in the abdomen. Hard swelling has developed in the ileocecal region. So you almost go in an era of 1900s when investigations were not mandatorily done by the physician, but observation was the key for diagnosis. And you can see how beautifully he has narrated this case. There is a severe pain in abdomen, 70 years of age, hard swelling in abdomen, ileocecal region, and aggravated by least contact, touch, or motion. And there is a bluish color which has come up on the region of swelling in the abdomen. And everyone assumed that this patient should die because, or would die because of the age and the severe weakness. He was gradually proceeding to weakness. Dr. T.L. Brown's daughter studied Rauh's pathology, and she found For typhlitis, this is an old terminology for appendicitis, plumbum metallicum was mentioned. Without thinking any further, they gave plumbum metallicum 200 potency, and the patient recovered and lived to tell the tale of homeopathy. So you can now understand how physicians of those era were more observant of the signs and symptoms than relying on the investigations. And if we read our source books, we will find lot of data which depends on examination of the patient rather than sending him to hundreds and 200 labs and getting investigations in and out. So these were the two cases which Dr. Nash has given in his remedy plumbum metallicum in the leaders in homeopathic therapeutics. And last but not the least, he ends up with a synopsis of where should you give plumbum metallicum. What are the peculiarities? Excessive rapid emaciation, general or partial paralysis, wrist drop, and distinct blue lines along the margins of the gums are also few indications of plumbum which he has found clinically in different patients. And that's where we end today's talk on plumbum metallicum. If you have got inspired with Dr. Nash, Leaders in Homeopathic Therapeutics book, let me know in the comments, and keep following Homeosetu Instagram, Facebook, YouTube channel, and stay tuned for interesting learning in 2025.